There's a special kind of nostalgia when you don't just remember a game, but an entire world that once lived around the clock. Cities that were always crowded with players, guilds that gathered for raids like it was a second job, and zones where you could spend hundreds of hours and still discover something new. But MMORPGs have one cruel flaw. Unlike single-player games, you can't just come back and replay them years later. When the servers go offline, the world is gone. Today, we're remembering dead MMORPGs, once popular games that attracted thousands of players, but are now officially unavailable. Some died because they failed, others became victims of publisher decisions, and some simply couldn't survive the competition. Let's start with WildStar. Was an ambitious sci-fi MMORPG developed by Carbine Studios. It featured unique movement mechanics, a non-target combat system, and deep lore set on the planet Nexus, where players explored the world, completed quests, ran dungeons, and fought in PvP battles. Many players praised its atmosphere and visual style, but even at launch, it was clear the game leaned heavily toward a hardcore audience, with a demanding endgame that pushed away more casual players. WildStar ultimately failed to retain a large enough active player base. The game struggled with a lack of casual-friendly content and difficult balance decisions, and even after switching to a free-to-play model, the audience never grew as expected. As a result, the publisher officially shut down the servers in November 2018, and Carbine Studios was dissolved, bringing all development to an end. City of Heroes was one of the first superhero MMORPGs, allowing players to create their own heroes with unique costumes, powers, and backstories, and team up to fight crime in the fictional cities of Paragon City and the Rogue Isles. Over the years, the game received numerous updates, expanded its class and power systems, and became especially known for its deep character customization, often remembered as one of the best in the genre at the time. Despite having a loyal community, the game was shut down on November 30th, 2012, after the publisher closed Paragon Studios and turned off the servers. Officially, this decision was made to restructure investments and focus on more profitable projects. Attempts by fans and developers to save the game or buy the rights were unsuccessful. To this day, many players remember City of Heroes as one of the most heartfelt MMOs, thanks to its creativity, teamwork, and strong community. Star Wars Galaxies was one of the earliest MMORPGs set in the Star Wars universe, launching in the summer of 2003. It offered a massive world with multiple planets, a flexible profession system, and a wide range of activities, from trading and crafting to building player housing. Players could explore iconic locations and experience stories set between episodes 4 and 5, making it especially appealing to both Star Wars fans and MMO players. The game was shut down on December 15, 2011, officially due to the development of a new Star Wars MMO, The Old Republic, which was positioned as its successor. Many players felt that balance changes, system overhauls, and a gradual decline in developer support weakened interest in the game, and the launch of a new major MMO in the same universe ultimately marked the end of Star Wars Galaxies. Warhammer Online: Age of Reckoning was an ambitious fantasy MMORPG developed by Mythic Entertainment and released in 2008, based on the Warhammer fantasy universe. Its defining feature was the realm versus realm system, large-scale, persistent warfare between the forces of order and destruction, with territory control, sieges, and organized group PvP. Many genre veterans still remember war for its fast-paced PvP, constant sense of conflict, and features that felt fresh at the time, such as public quests and scenario battles. Despite a strong launch, around 1 million copies sold and hundreds of thousands of subscribers, the game began losing players within months. Active subscriptions dropped rapidly, PvE content was often seen as weak, and PvP balance struggled to keep players engaged long-term. As a result, Electronic Arts officially shut down the servers on December 18, 2013, ending the project after 5 years. While fans continue to preserve the game on private servers, official support is long gone. Tabula Rasa was an unusual MMORPG that attempted to combine third-person shooter gameplay with traditional MMO mechanics in a sci-fi setting. Developed with the involvement of legendary designer Richard Garriott, the game featured tactical gunplay, cover-based movement, and a focus on more active combat compared to traditional click-based MMOs. The world was built around a constant war between humanity and an alien threat, with players fighting across 2 hostile planets in both solo missions and large-scale battles. The game launched in late 2007, but less than 2 years later, the servers were shut down on February 28, 2009. The main reason was a severe lack of content and rapid player burnout. Leveling was fast, but there was almost no endgame, causing subscribers to leave quickly. Despite its innovative ideas, Tabula Rasa failed to retain a stable player base, and an attempt to switch to a free-to-play model couldn't save it, making the project commercially unviable for its publisher. The Matrix Online was a rare attempt to create a canonical MMORPG continuation of the iconic Matrix film series. The game was designed to expand the story universe after the events of the movie trilogy. Players could choose roles like programmers, hackers, and operatives, explore districts of the virtual city, complete story-driven missions, take part in PvP combat, and influence world events in ways that aligned with the original narrative. The concept attracted a lot of attention from fans, but the execution was mixed. Many players felt the gameplay became repetitive too quickly, and the MMO systems lacked the depth needed for long-term engagement. Despite its powerful brand and ambitious idea, the project failed to build a stable player base. Activity dropped to minimal levels, and Sony Online Entertainment shut down the servers on August 1, 2009, due to low subscriptions. The game was criticized for repetitive gameplay, a lack of meaningful long-term goals outside of live events, and for launching into an already oversaturated MMORPG market with intense competition. Marvel Heroes Omega was an action-based MMO with RPG elements where players controlled legendary characters from the Marvel Universe. The gameplay was similar to Diablo-style ARPGs, featuring a wide roster of iconic heroes with unique abilities, fast-paced combat, and locations inspired by movies and comic storylines. The game could remain enjoyable even without spending money, and frequent events tied to new Marvel movie releases made it especially appealing to fans of the franchise. The project was shut down in late 2017 after Disney and Marvel ended their partnership with developer Gazillion Entertainment, causing the game to lose its license and official support. Players noticed that development had almost completely stalled in the months leading up to the shutdown. New content was scarce, promised updates were delayed, and overall momentum faded. The community also discussed internal studio issues and financial problems that further worsened the situation. Defiance was an open-world MMO shooter launched in 2013 as a companion project to a sci-fi television series. The game depicted a post-apocalyptic Earth transformed by an alien invasion, featuring a wide variety of weapons, PvE missions, and dynamic open-world events, while attempting to connect the game's story with the show's narrative. Many players remember Defiance as an unusual MMO shooter, focused heavily on gunfights and cooperative exploration of the world. The original servers were shut down in April 2021 under Gamago's management, as interest in the project gradually declined and continued support became unprofitable. A major issue was the loss of a meaningful player base, combined with the game's failure to receive consistent development after the TV series was canceled, which weakened its long-term potential. In 2025, a fan-driven initiative under a new publisher revived the original Defiance in a reworked form, but it exists as a separate community from the original MMO. Firefall was a sci-fi open-world MMO shooter with RPG elements, developed by Red 5 Studios throughout the early 2010s. The game featured customizable exosuits called battle frames, each with unique abilities, along with numerous missions, resource gathering, and large-scale multiplayer events set in a futuristic world. Early on, many players saw Firefall as a promising hybrid of shooter and MMO, praised for its fast-paced combat and distinctive movement mechanics. However, the project suffered from constant redesigns, removed features, and long delays between updates, which eventually eroded player interest. The community frequently complained about bugs, reduced PvP support, and the loss of content that had originally drawn players in. Commercial and organizational problems, including heavy marketing costs, staff layoffs, and the loss of funding, ultimately led to the servers being permanently shut down on July 7, 2017, bringing development to a complete stop. Hellgate London was originally conceived as a fast-paced ARPG with online elements, developed by a team of veterans from Blizzard North. The project combined hack-and-slash combat, procedurally generated dungeons, and a futuristic, post-apocalyptic version of London in the year 2038. Its bold genre mix attracted a lot of attention, but the game launched with serious problems. Numerous bugs, poor class balance, and unfinished systems significantly hurt the experience. For many players, the Diablo-style gameplay lacked clear long-term goals and became repetitive fairly quickly. Internal financial troubles at flagship studios played a critical role in the game's fate. The studio went bankrupt before the game could be fully stabilized, and the rights to Hellgate were transferred to another company. As a result, the original servers were shut down in early 2009, and the game never received the long-term support it was originally intended to have. While there were later attempts to rework and relaunch the project under different publishers, the original version remains permanently unavailable. Dungeon Runners was one of the early attempts to bring a free-to-play MMORPG to the Western market, focused on fast-paced action and loot-driven gameplay. The game had a lighthearted, comedic tone, with humorous quests, playful item names, and constant runs through procedurally generated dungeons reminiscent of Diablo-style games. Players could freely explore the world, complete quests, collect loot, and meet others in the central hub city of Townstown. The base game was completely free, while an optional subscription offered quality-of-life perks like expanded storage and small bonuses. The reason for its shutdown was purely business-related. Despite its innovative free-to-play approach at the time and steady content updates, the project failed to generate enough profit. Over its lifespan, the development team was reduced, and the company ultimately abandoned further expansion plans, considering them too costly and risky. Dungeon Runners servers were shut down on January 1, 2010, and many players still remember it fondly as a simple, fun MMO that just never found a large enough audience to survive. Vanguard, Saga of Heroes. Launched in early 2007 as an ambitious, classic MMORPG inspired by EverQuest. It featured a massive, seamless world with no loading zones, continuous landscapes, and deep exploration systems. The developers at Sigil Games Online aimed to build a game focused on social interaction, challenging loot, epic raids, and an advanced crafting profession system, which attracted hardcore MMO fans even before launch. The game stood out for its interesting locations and character customization, but it was also plagued by complaints about technical issues, empty worlds, and balance problems that hurt its overall appeal. The main reason for its shutdown was a gradual loss of players and the project's lack of commercial viability for its publisher. Although Vanguard continued to receive updates, the active player base shrank significantly over the years, and the servers were permanently shut down on July 31, 2014, as the company shifted resources toward more successful projects. This marked the end of Vanguard as one of those MMORPGs that were ambitious in concept but never managed to secure a stable audience. Free Realms was a cross-platform MMORPG set in an open world filled with a wide variety of minigames, primarily aimed at a younger audience. Players could explore the world, complete quests, socialize, take on challenges, and level up skills, combining elements of an adventure RPG with social gameplay, all accessible even without paying. Players often praised the bright, activity-packed world and its easy-to-understand design, with some minigames being just as engaging as full-fledged MMO content. The project shut down on March 31, 2014, when Sony Online ended support for several of its games, including Free Realms. The decision was driven by the need to reallocate resources to other projects and ongoing issues with monetizing a younger audience. According to former executives, children and teenagers rarely converted into paying subscribers and spent little on in-game purchases. Many players were disappointed by the shutdown, but not surprised, as updates had slowed and activity had declined in the months leading up to it. Fallen Earth was a post-apocalyptic MMO with shooter and RPG elements set in a vast open world around the Grand Canyon. Players survived and fought in the wasteland, gathering resources, crafting weapons and vehicles, and engaging in faction-based conflicts. The community praised the game for its atmosphere, deep crafting system, skill-based progression, and a strong sense of survival that few MMOs managed to deliver, along with a combat system many considered a unique hybrid. The original version of the game struggled commercially, and over the years, the rights passed between multiple publishers. Fallen Earth was initially shut down due to low player activity, performance issues, numerous bugs, and weak monetization, which made server maintenance unprofitable. The original servers ceased to exist until 2021, when a fan-driven effort and publisher Little Orbit brought back a classic version of the game. But this revival is no longer the same commercial MMORPG many players remember from its early years. LEGO Universe was a rare attempt to create an MMO platform built around the LEGO brand, where players could construct builds from bricks, explore themed worlds, complete quests, and interact with others. The project blended adventure and creativity, allowing players to design unique structures, take part in story-driven battles against elemental threats, and even influence the visual design of in-game locations. For many teenagers at the time, it became their first MMO experience, filled with LEGO's signature charm and creative freedom. Despite positive feedback on its creativity and features, the game shut down on January 31st, 2012. The official reason was its inability to convert a large enough active player base into paying subscribers, even after introducing a free-to-play area. From a business standpoint, the project failed to meet LEGO Group's expectations, and the MMO proved too expensive to maintain without stable revenue. Players later agreed the game had strong ideas but lacked long-term strategy and content depth to survive. Bless Online was an ambitious fantasy MMORPG developed by the Korean studio NeoWiz, positioned as a large-scale MMO with realistic visuals powered by Unreal Engine 3. It featured faction wars, PvP combat, dungeons, and a vast world with diverse zones. The game attracted attention by promising classic MMO mechanics wrapped in modern visuals, and many players expected it to become a major hit on both Western and Eastern servers thanks to its lore and art direction. However, shortly after release, the community began criticizing the game for its lack of meaningful content, poor optimization, and serious balance issues. The project officially shut down its servers on September 9, 2019, less than a year after its full launch. The primary reasons were weak long-term support and the absence of a stable player base. The game failed to retain players, updates were infrequent, and many users expressed disappointment that the final product felt far less complete than originally promised. Mercenary Online was a third-person multiplayer online shooter focused on team-based PvP battles and cooperative missions across multiple combat modes. Unlike traditional MMORPGs with deep character progression and complex skill systems, Mercenary Online emphasized fast-paced gunfights, cover-based tactics, aggressive positioning, and constant action in teams of up to 16 players. Players could customize their loadouts, choose different weapons, and take part in intense matches designed around competitive gameplay. The original official servers of Mercenary Online are no longer active, and the game is considered dead in its classic form. Its disappearance is largely attributed to a lack of sustained publisher support, low popularity compared to other shooter MMOs, and an inability to build a large, active player base. While there have been fan attempts to revive the game through modified servers, the original Mercenary Online remains unavailable and cannot be played officially. When an MMORPG shuts down, it's not just content that disappears, it's the history created by its players. Someone's first PvP victory, a legendary guild, sleepless raid nights, random encounters that turned into real friendships. These games didn't just stop receiving updates, they were shut down forever, as if an entire reality was erased. If you have your own memories, let me know in the comments which MMORPG you'd bring back, even if only for one night. And if you want a continuation, I can make a second part, because the list of dead worlds is far longer than it seems. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a nice day.